the space where we have honest conversations about becoming the person you are meant to be. I'm your host, Nikki Clarke, and today's topic is one that's been on my heart for a while: realigning with your purpose. If you've ever felt stuck, lost, or just a little disconnected from what you thought you were meant to be doing, you're not alone. Life is full of moments where we get off course, and today we're talking about how to come back to yourself. Let's take this time together to pause, reflect, and realign. You deserve that. Let's get into it. So let's start at the beginning. What is purpose? For many of us, purpose has been sold as a job, a title, or an achievement. But purpose is not what you do. It's who you are when you're living in alignment with your deepest values and gifts. Purpose is the work you do that feels effortless but impactful, the way you naturally serve others, the fire in your belly when you talk about what matters to you. And purpose is bigger than career goals or accolades. It's about contribution. It's about meaning. The world might try to define it for you, but you get to define what a meaningful life looks like on your terms. Why and how we drift. Drift happens subtly, and it's not like one day you wake up and think, I'll stop living intentionally. It just creeps in. And here's how it creeps in. When we prioritize being busy over being intentional, when we confuse productivity with purpose, when we adopt other people's dreams because they seem safer or more acceptable, and when we let fear or judgment silence the whisper inside us. Or life happens. A setback, a loss, a failure. Suddenly the path you were on feels impossible or irrelevant, and you drift. Drift is normal. What's dangerous is staying there, forgetting that you can always realign. So here are some signs you are out of alignment. How do you know it's time to realign? So let's talk about the symptoms of being out of alignment. Number 1, chronic fatigue, not caused by physical exertion. You might want to call it like a soul exhaustion. You've had 8 hours of sleep. You've, done everything right to nourish your body, to exercise, to, do all the basics of a healthy routine, but you're still exhausted. You are still tired. So the soul exhaustion is an indicator that you're out of alignment. You have a sense of restlessness. Even when everything should feel satisfying, you just feel like you can't sit still in whatever your thoughts are or what you're doing. It's not working for you. There's a sense of restlessness. And sometimes you might even feel trapped in success. You're doing well, but you're not well. I had a conversation with a man who was working for a very, big position across. It's a national position. He was the vice president, and he was making $250,000 every year. That was his salary, and he hated his job. And his job was what you would see from the outside, very, covetous, looking at what he was doing. He was traveling extensively, and he was, seen in pictures laughing, hanging out with the young and the beautiful, and everything on paper looked good and everything in pictures and video looked good, but he was really dying inside. And he said the way that he could come out of the way he felt about himself was to go shopping. So he said his shopping, his credit card was like, 7,000, 8,000 a month on buying things to make him feel better. So the moment he reflected and he got out of the job and started a business that put him in alignment, he is in such a great place right now. He's running an incredible company with a great team. And that was a really great, inspiring illustration for me to realize that success isn't always about financial gain. Success is about really reaching the alignment. So that is an example of feeling trapped in success. Another sign you're out of alignment is you lose touch with your joy. That's a big one. You're not feeling happy about where you are or who you're with. You are not feeling fulfilled in that joy. You're busy, but what you're busy doing is not fulfilling. It's not rewarding. And then the other sign you're out of alignment is you feel envious or resentful seeing others pursue their dreams. Now, this is something that used to baffle me because when I left teaching to start my business, it was a very challenging time for me. The first 5 years especially were very challenging for me because I fell into the alignment of what I needed to do, but the reality of, the financial the financial backing and all the other parts of a fluid business didn't happen right away. I had to learn those skills to, get to where I am, with 16 years of developing one of my businesses, the Nikki Clarke Show. And I knew the pain, I knew the stress, I knew the frustration, I knew the tears. But maybe people from the other side saw, the glamour, the success, the wow factor. And it would amaze me how people were envious of what I was doing. And I would have to just scratch my head and think, if they only knew, what it took to even get up that morning, knowing there were so many stressors involved with a particular project. But I was able, with, God's grace, to get through and go on to something else. And that part of the envy towards, my assignment or my business really kind of threw me for a loop. But that's the thing about when you're following your true calling, when you are in alignment and people are not, what you're doing radiates a special energy that they want, and they become envious if you have it and they don't. All right, so alignment is a felt experience. You don't need anyone else to validate it. Your body, mind, and spirit know when you're aligned. You also know when you're not. So realignment is a journey. Realignment is an instant. It's a process, and sometimes a messy one. It's not about flipping your life upside down overnight. It's about small, brave steps backward toward authenticity. And here's the thing. It's never too late to realign. Whether you're 25 or 65, you can choose to come home to your purpose. So here's what I have. Call it the 5 R's of realignment. And it's a very simple framework. Okay, so number 1, reflect. Ask, where am I right now? Where have I been settling? And you might want to journal these questions. What am I doing when I feel most alive? The other question is, what breaks my heart that I feel called to fix? And number 3, where do I feel like I'm just going through the motions? Okay, I'll repeat. What am I doing when I feel most alive? What breaks my heart that I feel called to fix? And where do I feel like I'm just going through the motions? Number 2, release. So here's some things you got to let go of. Other people's expectations. You know, at one point in my life, I was all about chasing people's expectations. And that's really exhausting because you may never meet their expectations. And somehow I internalized failing to meet other people's expectations, which affected me very negatively. My self-concept, my self-esteem, being bruised every time I couldn't meet their expectations. So I had to let go of that. The other thing that I let go of was goals that no longer served me. When you're drawn to your alignment, your previous self, because if you're truly growing and you're coming out of comfort and you're going into that uncomfortable spot of growth, you're going to shed your old self. And yes, there's some discomfort there, but it's necessary for you to elevate. And when you're shedding your old self, you're shedding goals that really don't matter anymore. I remember I was, involved in a number of projects and I would say like events. And at the time, I had to learn. I had to learn how to say no. But at the time in my life, I was just, yes, oh yes, sign me up. Yes, yes, I'll do this project. I'll volunteer for that. This and what happened was I was fulfilling other people's goals and not meeting my own needs, not fulfilling my goals. And those goals that were external, that belonged to other people, that I was helping them achieve, wasn't serving me at all. It was making me very resentful and burnt out. So make sure that the goals that you have serve you well. Okay? So the other thing I had to let go of was fear of starting small. Yeah, you always have that fear of, when you're venturing into something, you're starting over most often than not, and maybe the fear is how to put all the parts together, or you may have the fear of people looking at you like, can't you get it together? You're starting over again at your age. Fear of being a failure. So you have to release all those feelings because they don't matter at the end of the day. And in order to grasp the reins of, pulling you forward into your true alignment, you have to block out those voices. And they come, you're only human. They may come around you, or you may even have internal noises, kind of questioning whether you're doing the right thing. But you'll have to learn how to tune out all that noise and follow your natural guide towards the alignment. I call it the divine whisper. The divine whisper led me to take a leap of faith and leave teaching to start And the Beat Goes On, which turned into the Nikki Clarke Show. And all those points, other people's expectations of me, their goals, fear of failure, fear of starting over, all those kind of points came and tried to paralyze me in fear, but I got over it really fast. So these are some of the things that you should look at in the release of those kind of noises that will detract you, will slow you down from reaching your alignment. So I would suggest write down 3 things you need to release today to make space for realignment. Write down 3 things you need to do today to release and to make space for alignment. Okay? Do yourself that favor. Number 3 of the 5 R's, reconnect. Return to your core. Go to your happy place. Revisit hobbies, passions, dreams you've shelved. I thought about it the other day. I used to, when I was truly in my element, I used to frequent the gym. I used to do a lot of dance classes. I would watch a lot of, comedy movies. I would go to musical venues, watch performances. And when I hit what I call, rock bottom in terms of just situations making me stop and pivot and reflect, I had to answer that question: what makes me happy? What brings me joy? And these were all the things that I had to go back to. So over the last little while, I would say maybe over the last few years, I've been getting back to my Nikki happy place and doing those things, healthy ways of bringing joy to me. But also when you are entering into the dynamics of any relationship, whether it's personal or professional, once you're happy, you're bringing that joy into the relationship, bonding the relationship and just making it even more fulfilling and productive if it was a work relationship. So go back to your happy place. So here's homework for you. Ask yourself, what did I love before the world told me what to love? Okay? What did I love before the world told me what to love? Okay, number 4, reset your compass. So this is where you're going to choose 1 to 3 core values that guide your next decisions. So for example, if your core value is freedom, or maybe creativity, or service, or courage, determine 1 to 3 core values that guide your next decisions. And then align your daily choices with those values. Then number 5, recommit. Recommit. Purpose is not a one-time decision. It's a daily practice of choosing to stay close to your values, your calling, and your true self. So here's a quote that I'd like you to reflect on. Purpose doesn't stay where it's not nurtured. Okay, it's like a plant. You have to nurture it. The more you feed it with time, intention, faith, the more it grows. Okay? The more you water it, the more it grows. So I'd like for you to pause for a moment and to do a guided reflection with me. If you can, close your eyes I mean, if you're listening to this driving, don't close your eyes. But if you can, please do. If not, just listen. Take a deep breath in and picture your life like a garden. Okay, take a deep breath in and out. Picture your life like a garden. Some areas are blooming, some are overgrown, some are dry and neglected. And ask yourself, where in my life do I feel alive? And where do I feel dry, depleted, and disconnected? What would I plant if I trusted that it would grow? And imagine yourself tending to that garden, pulling weeds, watering new seeds, clearing space for the sun to shine in. Seeing yourself saying yes to your purpose, not perfectly, but consistently. Take another deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So you are tending to your purpose and it's responding. There was a time when I had everything that looked good on paper. I mean, a steady job, great benefits, a growing network, but I was soul exhausted because I was not inspired. And the scariest thing wasn't that I was failing. It was that I was succeeding at things that was kind of falling away from what really mattered to me. It took a very difficult season, a lot of shedding, a lot of uncertainty to find my way back to purpose. And the truth is, realignment wasn't glamorous. It was quiet. It was lonely sometimes, but it was sacred. And now I wake up excited about what I get to build, not just what I have to do. And if you're listening and wondering if you can get your way back, let me tell you, you absolutely can. So ask yourself these questions. What is the common thread through all my passions? And how do I feel when I engage in these activities? Your purpose is often the engine, not the vehicle. You know, vehicles can change. The engine stays the same. So as we close, I want to leave you with this. Realignment is an act of courage. It's saying, I choose to live my life, not the one others expect of me. It's choosing presence over perfection. And you may not have all the answers, but you have the next step. Trust that. Trust yourself. And always remember, you are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too far gone. You are right on time for your realignment. If this episode moved you, share it with a friend who's ready for a new beginning. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Leave a review. It helps more people find these conversations. And if you want more information, please reach out to me at the NikkiClarkeNetwork.com, or you can email me at Nikki@NikkiClarkeNetwork.com. And I say to you again, stay aligned, stay courageous, and stay transformed. This is Nikki Clarke. I'll see you next time.